Must do some or you need like a full sheet curtain. Well, the small piece is just for like this work. Perfect.
And one,
You see, the American is the land. Yes, it's no longer safe. They do not benefit from using the country. And most of the using the country because of the politicians. And you get go through. You see, one of the, if you fight down here on this horizontal level, and you fight down here, that's the worst.
Come visit the Good Beans Cafe at 328 North Grand Traverse, Flint, Michigan, in historic Carriage Town.
yeah, alright. 1, 2, 1, 2, smiling faces. Constantly supporting community and culture. And beyond. The Good Beans Cafe! Yeah, yeah. There we go.
And now, live at the Good Beans Cafe in Flint, Michigan, the Creative Alliance presents Collab Nite with our host, Mark, Funnyman, Taylor. Now do that.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, there we go.
How is everybody doing tonight?
Oh, yes.
You know, at my house, I had a bowl of chili and I got cold. Yeah, I had pickled bologna and saltine crackers with it. Oh, I forgot, I can't do jokes about saltine crackers because then I'll insult them. Yeah, that was full of bologna. Anyway, before we really get started, I want to say welcome to our last installment of our collaboration night for 2019, and hope everybody has a good Christmas. Oh, and before I forget, you see all this over here? For $10, you can get a Frisbee or a shirt.
Well, Actually, you can get a Frisbee for any donation.
Oh, okay, let me.
And you get a shirt for $10 donation.
Yes. So a $10 donation, you'll get a shirt, and for any donation, you can get a Frisbee, or you could get a bundle, which is like 2 for the price of 1.
Sure.
So, if you want to do that, that's really cool. Oh, and another thing, on Comcast, on Monday and Wednesday nights,
6 p.m. on Monday and 7 p.m. on Wednesday.
yes, so it's 6 p.m. on Monday and 7 p.m. at Wednesday, they're going to be showing the collaboration night and art walk.
Yeah, and whatever other video Flint Underground
yeah.
has. It's the Flint Underground videos.
So join that on Comcast Channel 17, and it'll be awesome to see little me on the stage.
Yeah.
And other people. So, anyway, I was told I was supposed to do a Christmas joke, so did you hear about the snowman that annoyed the snow woman? She gave him the cold shoulder. Yeah, so, anyway, I'll do my jokes later on. We're gonna get to our first guest.
Gary Flynn.
Oh. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you to right now our Flint's very own historian, Mr. Gary Flynn.
Yay, Gary!
Thank you, Mark. Now, as Mark mentioned, the Creative Lions Show is on Comcast Channel 17, Monday nights at 6 and Wednesday nights at 7, which is the repeat of the Monday broadcast. Last week, actually, I should say last Monday, the Creative Lions Show on Comcast did a segment of last month's Collab Nite, where I did my Paramount Potato Chips piece.
Yes, it was the last half.
And I had hinted at last month's Collab Nite that I would be working on my ambitious piece about the General Motors cutbacks in Flint. Well, it's been written.
Okay.
So here's my lost industry piece on General Motors downsizing. Flint's economy over time rose and fell with the state of the automotive industry, which was the unfortunate result of Flint's economy being dependent on the automotive industry in general and General Motors in particular, which was born in Flint. But 1973 was the year when things began to gradually change, causing adverse effects to the people of Flint. 1973 was the year of the Arab oil embargo, which changed the automotive marketplace, in which car buyers were beginning to switch to more fuel-efficient vehicles, leaving the domestic automotive industry and General Motors unprepared. GM was also having reliability problems with their vehicles, as they were averaging nearly $500 million in annual warranty repairs. They also fell behind foreign automakers regarding new emission rules. This allowed European automakers such as Volkswagen, as well as Japanese automakers, to increase their market share in America, slowing GM profits and laying the groundwork for GM's forthcoming downsizing of the manufacturing capacity in the Flint area. These are the GM factories in the Flint area in the order that demolition was completed, which were affected. First, the AC Spark Plug Industrial Avenue plant. After losing control of the Boston-based Champion Spark Plug Company, which moved to Toledo, Ohio, Albert Champion moved to Flint at the invitation of GM founder Billy Durant to establish the Champion Ignition Company in 1908, which was initially based in a portion of the third floor of the Buick factory on Hamilton Avenue. The following year, it moved to its own two-story factory at the corner of Industrial Avenue and Harriet Street. In 1912, Champion greatly expanded the factory, which was expanded further in 1915 and 1918. It eventually occupied both sides of Industrial Avenue between Page, with two overhead walkways linking the factories, and totaling 470,000 square feet on Industrial Avenue between Page and Harrison Streets. Because the Champion Spark Plug Company owned the Champion name, Albert Champion renamed the company AC Spark Plug after its initials in 1922. In 1925, Champion acquired the Motor Company factory on North Dordt Highway. Champion died in 1927. In 1929, GM acquired Champion's interest in the company from his estate, and in 1933 it officially became a division of GM. AC over time phased in production at the expanding Eastside factory complex, and over time phased out portions of the Industrial Avenue factory complex until it closed in 1975 when it was torn down later that year, with demolition extending into 1976. Buick took over the site for parking. Now for Fisher One. In 1921, GM founder Billy Durant, after losing control of GM for the last time, founded Durant Motors, and the following year broke ground on a new factory on Flint's southeast side at South Saginaw Street between Afton and Hemp Hill Roads to build a car called the Flint, which would compete with Buick. Production at the $50 million factory began in 1923, but it proved to be too big for the volume of business, so it was sold to GM for $4 million in 1925 and became Fisher Body Plant No. 1. It built bodies for Buick, which were then trucked to Buick on Flint's north side for final assembly. In 1984, GM changed its organizational structure, and the Fisher Body No. 1 plant became the Buick Oldsmobile Cadillac, or BOC Group, Flint Body Assembly Plant. Innovations and changes to the Northside Buick complex to compete with global automakers led to the development of Buick City, inspired by the Toyota City complex of factories in Japan. The switch to unibody construction and front-wheel drive new Buicks in 1985 made the BOC Flint Body Assembly Plant expendable. The plant then shifted to building bodies for rear-wheel drive Buick Regal, Chevrolet Monte Carlo, and the Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme models for the Chevrolet-Pontiac/GM Canada, or CPC plant in Pontiac. But the closing of that assembly plant in Pontiac sealed the fate of old Fisher One. The plant closed in December 1987. The closing was an inspiration for Michael Moore's first film, Roger and Me. After partial demolition and renovations, the site became the Great Lakes Technology Center. Only the old factory's administration building maintained its original exterior. Now for the Fisher Coldwater Road Plant. The Fisher Body Coldwater Road Plant in Genesee Township opened in 1953 and was built for the Buick Motor Division. The original plan was to build aircraft engines for the Korean War, but the end of that war led to the plant, still in construction at that time, be turned over to GM's Turnstead Division and used for civilian production of body hardware. The Detroit-based Turnstead Manufacturing Company developed the first dependable closed car window regulator. By 1920, Turnstead was a subsidiary of Fisher Body, which became a wholly owned subsidiary of GM in 1926, making Turnstead a GM division. Turnstead was absorbed into Fisher Body in 1969. The 1.8 million square foot plant employed 1,900 people and produced power and manual window regulators, door and deck lid hinges, and headliners. GM's 1984 organizational structure dissolved Fisher Body, and the Coldwater Road plant became part of GM's new Fisher Guide Parts division. In 1989, Fisher Guide merged with GM's Inland division to become GM's Inland Fisher Guide division. Inland Fisher Guide became part of GM's spin-off Delphi Automotive Systems in 1995. The following year, Delphi sold the plant to Peregrine Inc., but the Coldwater plant was unprofitable and it closed in 1998. It was torn down shortly afterwards, leading to estimated losses of $1 million in tax revenue. A landfill behind the former site is being monitored for groundwater contamination. Now for Buick City. In 1898, Billy Durant of the Durant Door Carriage Company purchased the 220-acre William Hamilton farm from his daughter, Mrs. Minnie Loringer, for $22,000. In 1907, Durant's new 3-story factory for his Buick Motor Company was built, consolidating manufacturing from factories in Jackson, Michigan, and west of downtown Flint. That became the start of what would become a sprawling complex of factories on Flint's north side. Buick was the beginning leading to the formation of General Motors by Durant in 1908, which was also the year that the Buick plant became the largest automobile factory in the world. Over the years, additional factories were built on the site, and in the reorganization of the Buick factory complex in the mid-1980s, the sprawling site from Pearson Road to the north the CSX railroad tracks to the east, Harriet Street to the south, and Industrial Avenue to the west would be called Buick City. But by the 1980s, Buick sales were declining rapidly. In 1997, it was announced that Buick City would close. On June 29, 1999, a Buick LeSabre was the final car to roll off the Buick City assembly line. Demolition of the complex would begin afterwards. A few factory buildings manufacturing engines and transmissions, plus support buildings north of Lee Street, were saved to become the GM Powertrain Flint North Complex. Now for Fish in the Hole / Fisher Guy / AC Flint West. For a century and a half, beginning in 1865, a site west of downtown along the Flint River was an industrial area. From the processing of lumber up through wagon and carriage building, culminating into an automotive manufacturing complex, what became known as Chevy in the Hole by 1934 covered 80 acres and employed 14,000 workers at 31 factories on both sides of the river. An overhead tunnel above Chevrolet Avenue became a local landmark, topped on both sides by Chevrolet's bow tie sign in neon. But activity began winding down in 1984 by the closing of Plant 4, which was the engine plant. That same year, a General Motors reorganization led to the complex becoming part of the CPC group. When the complex was taken over by GM's Fisher Guy division by 1986, the bow tie signs came down and were moved to the Vic Canaver Chevrolet dealership in Fenton. In 1987, AC took over the complex, and Delphi took over in 1995. Vacant buildings were torn down one by one beginning in 1995 with the old Fisher Body No. 2 plant. The powerhouse was demolished in 1999, with the twin smokestacks imploded on March 6. Delphi Plant 10 and the water treatment plant were demolished in 2003. The repurposed Delphi Plant 4 was the last building closed on July 2, 2004, and demolition began shortly afterward. But Delphi did not remove equipment and confidential medical records before demolition began, so demolition exposed everything, or all the find, which the Uncommon Sense Alternative newspaper reported in 2005. Kettering University took over the site north of the river for campus expansion, and Kettering's GM Mobility Research Center now occupies part of the site. Kettering also took over Plant 35, which after renovations became the CS Mott Engineering and Science Center. The city of Flint took over the site south of the river, which after brownfield cleanup became parkland called Chevy Commons. One GM manufacturing facility remains in operation. The old Plant 38 on Stevens Street is now Flint Tool and Die. Now for the GM Powertrain V8 engine plant. Part of Chevrolet Motors Division's post-World War II expansion, the V8 engine plant was built in 1953 on Vance Lake Road southwest of Flint. At that time, each GM division had its own engine manufacturing operations. That changed in 1984 with GM's first reorganization, with the Vance Lake engine plant part of the CPC group, which was combined with the BOC group's engine operations in 1990 to form the GM engine division. That was combined with GM Hydromatic division, which made transmissions in 1990, creating GM Powertrain. In 1999, GM Powertrain closed the V8 engine plant, and it was replaced by the new Flint Engine South plant, just south of the V8 engine plant, which was demolished shortly afterwards. A paint shop addition to the GM Flint assembly plant now occupies the site. Now for GM Powertrain Flint North. When most of the Buick City complex was closed down, the remaining buildings north of Lee Street, which made automotive components, were saved. The oldest surviving factory building was built in 1926/1927 as Factory 70, which served as a foundry until 1980. It was remodeled in 1980/81 and renamed Factory 81, which made transmission components, pistons, and torque converter vanes. The other factories in the complex were Factory 36, which was engine component manufacturing assembly, Factory 10, which was transmission and engine component manufacturing, and Factory 5, which was transmission component and hinge manufacturing. Support buildings were Building 18, which was personnel, hospital, and the fire department, Building 21, which was machine shop and tool regrind, Building 22, which was the powerhouse behind Factory 10, Building 55, which was the waste treatment, Building 86 which was the Worldwide Facilities Group, and what was left of Factory 3, which was renovated into the Cultural and Diversity Center, which opened in 2004. But in 2008, the final 3.8-liter V6 engine was built on the site. At that time, Flint North employed more than 1,200 workers. 2 years later, the rest of the complex, employing 400 workers, was closed. This brought to an end a century of manufacturing at what became Buick City, where in the mid-1950s, 29,400 employees worked there. The remaining buildings were torn down afterwards. And finally, AC Flint East. As already mentioned, Albert Champion acquired the Dort Motor Company plant on North Dort Highway in 1925 for its AC spark plug factory. After Champion died in 1927, GM acquired his interest in the company, taking over in 1929 and becoming a GM division in 1933. Over time, the factory complex on North Dort Highway would sprawl eastward all the way to Center Road uninterrupted and even extended to Burton. After AC took over the former Chevy and the Hull factories in 1987, which became AC Flint West, this complex became known as AC Flint East. In 1988, GM merged the AC Spark Plug division with the Rochester Products division to form AC Rochester, which was initially based at Flint East before the headquarters was moved to the Great Lakes Technology Center. Another GM divisional consolidation led to the formation of AC Delco Systems in 1994. The following year, it was absorbed in the GM spin-off company Delphi Automotive Systems, which was separated from GM in 1999. Delphi's bankruptcy in 2005 included plans to close most of its American plants, including Flint East. The decline in employment at the Flint East complex had been gradual, from around 7,000 in 1996 to 3,500 in 2003 to about 1,100 in 2008. In 2007, the engineering center at the corner of Davison Road and Averill Avenue was closed, with the job shifted to Auburn Hills. Demolition began on April 2008 of most of the Flint East complex, from North Highway eastward to Averill Avenue, including the power plant and engineering and research center. Before the historic factory at the corner of North Highway and Davison Road was raised, an expert removing tiles carefully removed Flint faience tiles, including a Flint faience tiles tile sign from the facade of the factory in June 2008. The Adamo Group of Detroit was a demolition contractor, which completed the demolition the following August of 2009. This left a large factory building that was built in stages extending from Averill Avenue to Center Road along Robert T. Longway Boulevard. That closed in 2013, when the remaining 287 employees was shifted to Mexico. The portion of the factory facing Center Road was demolished the following year. In 2017, the remaining part of the old factory on Averill and Longway was sold, and part of it is now used by Genesee Packaging. Since I wrote this, I also wrote pieces about the long-on DuPont paint plant, which is across from Buick City. I already mentioned Paramount potato chips, and I also condensed the McDonald Dairy story, which I did write about in my Hidden History of Flint book, and I just minted a piece about Hillmac products, which made lint rollers in Flint. In future Collab Nites, I'll talk about those, but in the meantime, that's what I have right now, and I thank you very much.
That was very good, Mr. Flynn. That was very good.
The next book, Lost Flint, should be coming out.
So, at this time, I would like to introduce you to my other half, my love of my life, Miss Julie Graham, to come up to the stage.
Yay, Julie!
And hello.
Hello.
Gee, I'm not doing any jokes or drumming or anything artsy tonight. But I wanted to talk about one of my college assignments that we did. Kind of start off with it. A couple months ago, my teacher introduced this subject, in which we were gonna interview and do a historical oral thing of North Flint. Students of interviewing different various people in North Flint, and I was like, gee whiz, I don't know anybody, but I said, teacher, how about someone in maybe a carriage town? Would that be close enough? He said, sure. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna do something about my grandma's business. And the funny thing is, if you look out the front window, right across the street, turn your head left a little bit, and it's right there. The house across the street with the yellow business behind it, that belonged to a company called Flint Wheel and Spring. My grandma lived in that house. She ran the business with my uncle. Through the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. I feel funny kind of following Gary about something historical, but hey. Anyways, I found some interesting things when I talked to my other uncle that's the surviving of 3 brothers of that clan, and he said, oh yeah, that was originally something my grandfather ran. His grandfather's name was Elmer Crawford. And Elmer Crawford was from Otisville, and he was a blacksmith. And he decided to come into Flint and work for the carriages, and actually started working for David Buick to begin with. And because he's a blacksmith, he worked on axles and the wheels on carriages. Okay, cool. So after that, he decided to check out Flint Wheel and Axle is what it was called back then. And my uncle says, I can't remember the gentleman that owned that, but when Elmer Crawford came in, within about a year or 2, he bought out the business. So I guess he apparently really knew what he was doing. So this was in the 1920s, and time goes on, and he met another gentleman by Hubert Pierce that came in the 40s. Hubert Pierce worked for Dorton Drant originally. So he came in and he's helping out and what stuff like that, and met Elmer's daughter, Avis, and they got married. And from with Avis, he had 3 sons, which are my 3 uncles. So there's Keith, Neil, and Bruce. So Elmer passed away, and then Hubert and Avis ran the business. And then when Hubert passed away in the 70s, my Uncle Bruce took over. Uncle Bruce was the mechanic, and my grandma Avis Pierce was the bookkeeper. They ran that from the 70s to 2000s or so. Give a little disclaimer. I call them my grandma and my uncle and whatnot, but they're biologically not quite related to me because my mom's 2 sisters married 2 Pierce brothers. My older cousins called them aunt, uncle, and grandma, so I did too. I guess we're close enough. They're not biologically my family, but they are. So, just saying. Okay, so I'm trying to wrap this up. Grandma had a stroke in the late 90s. She went into a nursing home in Saginaw. And from there, my uncle got this business partner by the name of Red. And then my uncle's wife, which was Aunt Alice, had cancer. She died. My grandma died, all within the late 90s, like 98, 99. And then my Uncle Bruce sold the business to Rod. He turned it into a moving company. And then my uncle died of a heart attack in 2005. So, here's this house over here, and nothing's been going on. I guess Rod doesn't have it anymore. When I was over taking pictures, somebody who bought the business next door here, which was the Freeman's Dairy, saw me taking pictures, and he comes over there like, what the heck are you doing? And I said, it used to be my grandma's house and business. He's like, oh, I've been watching over this thing, and I've been wanting to buy this place. And I'm like, oh, cool, okay, can you do that? So, I'm gathering information about that. I decided to interview Factor 2, and I interviewed Ken here, and came up with a video, and that's going to go with the project that's actually being installed at U of M. It's
And you're going to show that video Friday, here, right?
yeah, I'm gonna get there.
Okay.
This is the whole reason why I explained it.
Okay.
Sort of. And to tell you where the project is, it's like a physical project. It's an oral history of Northern Flint. So it's just not just my story. It's the whole class did their own stories. It's going to be audio. It's going to be visual with captioning and videos, and you can even pick up a phone. And it's kind of a neat thing. Anyways, that's at Harding or UNC if anybody wants to check that out. But anyway, so I got that on YouTube now. Give it to 10, and then we're going to do the movie on Friday. And I'm also going to try to pitch it to Genesee County Historical Society and hope maybe they'll recognize it as a historical location, and it won't just be sitting there. Maybe someone could get in there and actually do something with it. So that would be cool. But we'll see how it goes. I just wanted to come up here and explain all that. I'm excited to find out so much history, you know. And it seems to be the last thing in Carriagetown that's just sitting there. You know? It's sad that it's just sitting there. So we'll see how it goes, and thanks for listening.
Let me know how things go with the Historical Society.
Huh?
Let me know how things go with the Historical Society.
I think that video-
That was very good, my love.
I got a pause.
And before I get to our next person, I want to give a shout out to Ken on the sound system over there. And I want to give it up to the guy that does the coffee and stuff out there, because
Yeah.
he's a pretty cool guy. I
Yeah,
talked
he
with
is.
him earlier. And I want to give a shout out to Miss Jennie on the video screen.
Yay, Jennie.
All right. Speaking of which, you're on next.
Yeah, yeah.
So please give it up for Jennie Moench, please.
Okay. First off, every third Wednesday we have the Collab Nite open mic, but every first Friday at Buckham, Nick he hosts a open mic there as well, and you know, you get a lot of different musicians as well as you know, poets and authors, just like this one's very similar. If you like this open mic, then you like that one. And I know that in January, it's the first Friday, there's going to be a contest. They're going to actually give money to the act that, I don't know how they're going to determine who wins, but I know there's money involved, so something they don't normally do is just going to be something special for the month of January if you're interested in going to that open mic and performing. Yeah, you might be too, Mark. Okay, and then every Wednesday in the evening, starting at about 10 o'clock, Golden Leaf has an open mic, but it's mostly musicians there because you can play with the band.
What is that? Where is that at?
At the Golden Leaf. It's tonight. Every Wednesday evening, the Golden Leaf.
What time?
I can
It's
show
on
you.
yours,
I can tell you where it's at,
3
but it's a jazz club. And I wrote a book called Near Future, and I thought I would just read something out of the. It's a book of short stories. There's 5 of them. They're all near future stories, and each story has a different set of characters. Sometimes they interact. And this particular story, I was going to read a bit, and I'm already writing the second episodes of all these stories too, because I kind of really liked the characters. You can listen to free audio video books, any of these stories, free audio video. I can give you the links. Oh, JennieMoench.com. If you go there, all my stuff is there, and you can go to Warrior Publications, and then there's the links on there too. So anyway, and I thought I would read the bit. This is the sex scene in this book, and but it's more of a comedy, really. But anyway, I hope it is. Okay, and this is about a guy. His name is Eric, and in this particular story, it's called Hive Mentality, and it really centers around there's a counselor and three of his clients. And Eric is one of his clients, and Eric's problem, he sees as a counselor, is because he is like so connected to technology that he wears these AR, augmented reality lenses all the time. And he can't go without them, sort of like how some people are with their phones, but he's constantly. So anyway, and he had gotten robbed. In fact, because he was preoccupied and he had those lenses on, he got robbed. And now this is happening after he got robbed, and he's coming back home after he's, I don't know if he got his transporter back yet or not, but anyway. Eric came home to his wife being entertained by an interactive hologram. It was an up-and-coming fashion designer explaining to her his most recent line while displaying the garments on a faceless white model with her body. He frowned, wondering how much it was going to end up costing him. But with the most dashing smile he could summon, he moved behind her as she was sitting on the couch and actually touched her cheek with his lips. She pulled away. "What? I'm busy." "But darling, it's Friday. I wanted to show you my new app. I have to go with my new glasses." He tried to say this in a flirty way. He also was hoping to distract her from making another purchase. She turned towards him in her annoyed manner, but her gaze did hesitate on his face momentarily, just enough to be a sign of interest. "Maybe in a bit," she snapped, before returning her attention to the designer. "Ah, success," he ruminated before retreating to the master bath to freshen up. He couldn't remember ever having sex with his wife without them both wearing lenses. Those are the glasses. They each had favorite AR programs that they would exchange the other's body for their favorite celebrity. Everyone did it. And their partners never needed to know who the man or woman was that their partner had been fucking on more than one occasion. He had Isabella resembled Marilyn Monroe. Bone technology was wonderful, since only he was able to hear what Hugh Hefner cheered him on in a gilded throne next to him. It made sex an adventure. After a quick shower, he threw on a fluffy white robe and then turned the water spigot on in their made-for-two bathtub. He added some sweet-smelling crystals, then peeked into the living room as the tub was filling. His wife was still on the couch being entertained by a hologram, but he did note her glance his way as he was peeking at her. This encouraged him to find a cold glass of sparkling wine and offer it to her where she was sitting. He to her ear and whispered that he'd be waiting for her in the bath. She didn't reply or even meet his eyes, but he could tell she'd be joining him soon. He made himself comfortable in the tub with the rest of the bottle of wine on a small table nearby. There, by the bottle, was also a small metal tube with his favorite narcotic in a smokeless oil form. He wasn't a drug addict, but the hallucinogenic made his wife's high-pitched voice more tolerable, especially when it was paired with the body of Gigi Lepew, his new favorite starlet that he had chosen from a list in the new program that came with his new lenses. As he was laying back, eyes closed, his fantasy was interrupted when Gigi carefully glided her foot into the water beside him. Her body was fashionably slender. He oogled her as she settled into the tub in front of him. Her legs interlocked with his. She set her empty glass next to the bottle and grasped the metal tube, pulling it to her full red lips. He refilled her glass, barely taking his eyes off her as she inhaled deeply. "Okay, so how about if you send me this new app of yours?" she said, fingering her invisible to him lenses. He immediately located the program and sent her a copy. Instantly, she received it and began scanning her options. She took her time to make a decision. Sex with Eric had become boring, but maybe. She scrolled through the list of possibilities until she found one that made her smile. Eric watched her intently from the other side of the tub. He noted her smile and wondered what romantic option she had chosen. "Okay," she announced cheerfully. "Let's do this." She was giggling as she began to raise herself out of the tub. No, no, not yet, Eric cooed, gently grasping her ankle, which was much thicker than it appeared. Let me help you bathe first. She giggled again and drew another breath from the metal tube in her hand. He caressed her, moving her invisible silky tresses away from her neck, then mashing his nose into it a bit, as it wasn't quite where he expected. She laughed again as in her fantasy his long snout tickled her neck and made a snorting sound. She allowed him to rub a soapy sponge across her back and her front. It was hard for her to keep from giggling. Then when he stood up, she couldn't help but laugh uncontrollable as her favorite childhood cartoon pig, Hinky, was standing over her with a gigantic erection. Come, my darling, he grunted while offering a cloven hoof for her to hold as she stood up. She accepted it and carefully dried her dainty body with a white towel that had looked enormous before she began dabbing herself with it. The two mammals moved to the extra-large bed where Hinky began rooting around his side, leaning over the edge to reach a box that contained more of the narcotic-filled cylinders. Isabella spied his chubby pink ham hocks and couldn't help herself from sinking her teeth into the fluffy cheeks. The little piggy squealed shrilly, then wrestled with naughty Gigi to the mattress. They copulated with Eric, expertly thrusting Gigi as she had never been thrusted before, causing her to writhe and shout with ecstasy. Oink, oink, motherfucker! She squealed at the top of her lungs, all while laughing uncontrollably at the honks and farting noises that were coming out of the animated pig that she was having cross-species sex with, both ending their Friday night sex affair in complete satisfaction. Eric rolled over onto his pillow, spent. But as he lay there thinking about the experience, he looked over at Gigi, who was also hugging her pillow, and asked, Did I hear you say oink oink? He questioned timidly. Isabella shrugged. I don't know, with that annoyed voice that warned him that further questions could be detrimental to his well-being. That's it.
Very cool stuff.
That's just, you look at Wild Man Fisher.
Is it okay if I could do like a little set really quick?
Sure. Your show, yeah, do it.
How's everybody doing?
Yeah.
All right. Did you know that dogs can't do MRIs, but cats can? All this time, I've been very frank with everybody, so I'm a hot dog. Yeah. So, anyway, so there's these two snowmen talking, and one turns around, the other is looking around at them and sees them and looks at him and says, Hey, what happened to your nose? Did you get a nose job? The other snowman says, No, I just got attacked by a rabbit. Yeah. He said he had to hop to it. Yeah. So, do you know what you call somebody that has no body or no nose?
What?
Nobody knows. I had to do that one. But, so, anyway, did you know that people have fear of Santa Claus? You know, because they have clausophobia? Oh, yeah. So, there's these two guys talking. One says to the other, Hey, did you know that I have a fear of escalators? And he says, No, I didn't know that. He says, Yeah, I'm trying to take steps to avoid them. Now myself, I'm scared of stairs because they're always up to something. Yeah. So, people always ask me, Mark, what do you think about? You know, I always think about people who are vegetarians. Like, Would a vegetarian detective be angry if they had to go on stakeouts? Oh, would that be rough on them? Like, why is it called a toll booth and it takes a toll on everybody? I'm not for sure. And bathrooms are called rest stops and there's no bed inside of them. So, anyway, that one just went down the toilet. Speaking of bathrooms, that I went on vacation. There was a red light and a green light in the bathroom, so we had to stop and go. Yeah, it was fast. So, did you know that everybody has addictions? I had a friend that was addicted to Soapy's Clean now. I had an addiction about Hokey Pokey, and then we turned ourselves around. Then I heard about somebody that got addicted to Vlasic pickles. It was the real deal. Yeah, and so, yeah, I'm dillying down around here. So there's these two guys talking, and one says to the other, "Hey, me and a friend, we were going to be in a movie, but we got sinus trouble." I turned around and said, "Sinus trouble? What did it have to do with the movie? Did you catch a cold?" And he said, "No, nobody with sinus." Last weekend I had to go to the saddest thing I ever had to go to in my life. I went to an emotional wedding reception. It was so sad, even the cake was in tears. Yeah, that was a sad joke. Yeah, Pop was involved, so that was so depressing. Yeah. Speaking of Pop, I guess I became an official coconut because I couldn't decide if I wanted to have a Coke or not. So, I'm glad that everybody's here, and I'll leave you with one more Christmas joke. So, do you know what Santa does in the summertime? He grows things. You know what he uses? A ho ho ho. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah. Oh, you got another Gaddy.
Yeah, we got another guest coming up here.
Gaddy.
Could we have Daddy to the stage?
Yay!
Maybe.
Maybe. Oh, where'd it go?
Possibly.
Oh.
Gotta go, gotta go.
Does anybody else want to sign up too? Because there's the sign up sheet up there. You want me to go see if he's in the other room? Here, I'll go over
Okay.
there and see. Here, I'll just turn. You can tell us some jokes.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell more jokes. So, I went to a farm and I took some coffee with me. Yeah, I had decaffeinated coffee. I went to a zoo last summer. They had like one animal in there. It was a dog. It was a Shih Tzu.
Well, you know what? He's really not here. He left. So did any of you guys, were you guys signed up to, any of you oh no. Okay.
Let's see. One more. Deviled eggs. Why do I have a hell of a time with them?
Those are such devils.
So.
Yes.
Okay, come on, go
I'm from
ahead.
Birmingham, so, you know. What the heck?
Sure, let's go.
There's a free microphone right here.
Yeah.
And
What
now
was your
I've
name?
got it.
What was your name again?
My name's Kyle Dunbar. I'm
Okay.
not a comedian. Obviously, I'm here.
Okay.
What I am is a tattoo artist.
Okay.
And but there's some funny stuff with tattoos.
Oh,
maybe
I bet
can
you some
share it
good
with you.
stories.
And maybe if we get nothing else, at least we end up coming away with a bit of knowledge about it.
Okay.
Number one, what shouldn't you tattoo?
Private parts?
Man, that's a great answer. That was going to be my punchline. Thanks for screwing that up. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, you shouldn't tattoo your private parts because it hurts, right? But no, you shouldn't tattoo your name. Someone else's name. Should never get anybody else's name.
Yeah, I can see that.
And you should never, one of the biggest reasons, and no one ever thinks this one through, but all the time Kelsey will come in and she'll want to get her boyfriend's name and he'll be having to get her name. Generally that means that he's cheated on her. Generally, what do I say? 100% of the time that means that he has cheated on her. And now as a punishment, he has to get her name. This has happened. I can't tell you the countless, 22 years I've been tattooing, I can't tell you the number of times that I can get to a guy and kind of aside be like, so, you got caught? Oh, dog, you know. Yeah, I know. I've been through this before. You shouldn't get it because the next thing that you have to do, though, you got to resist. If you get that name tattooed on you, you're going to break up anyways. It's not like she's not going to hold it against you. I remember I put Shannon on this kid's chest. Oh, man, she made me put it in here. She was already cheating on him. She found out he'd been cheating on her. Had me put it on there huge. Can't be covered up. That's a laser job coming. And boy, that hurts. But at any rate, you should never get a name because the next time it gets worse. You don't get it covered up. Every single other time that anybody's ever come in to get a name that it has not been a cheating, it's been because he already cheated on a girl, got a damn name on him. Now the new girl's there and he didn't get it covered up before. No one ever thinks about it because you can be out partying and be, oh, well, that's my ex, never mind her. And you're getting down. She don't mind that night either because it's that night. But then next month, at the family's wedding, taking your shirt off at the pool. No, you got to cover up that girl's name. And what can you cover it up with? Well, my name, because you love me. Well, geez, honey, if I covered up her name with your name, I'd have to get it, bigger, a lot bigger, and maybe with a different font. You know, something that says. It just reeks of regret. I'm sorry. I have no punchline there. Just, again, for your own information.
Yeah,
Second off, if you do get the tattoo, you ever get a tattoo, a lot of people don't know how to care for a tattoo, and I'll just give you 25 years of expertise in this. There is one way to heal a tattoo. Is the best way. I'm a genius, and I know this. That's why I can disseminate this to you.
Okay.
The rest of the world ain't figured it out yet, but everybody here is a little bit smarter right now because you know there's one way to heal a tattoo, and that is to treat it like a baby. Everything it's one thing, right? We can simplify anything down to one thing and we're going to be fine with it. One thing, treat it like a baby. What's the most important thing in the world? Oh, my kid. If you do anything mess up to your kid, you screwed up. That's the one thing about being a parent. The only thing you have to do is not let it die. Yeah, and that's the same with the tattoo. Don't let the tattoo die. Several things that just follow in suit with it. Number one, do you take your baby to the beach and put it in the sun for 20 minutes? No. Baby's gonna burn. You do it to your tattoo? Hell no. Baby's gonna burn. Do you take your baby and submerge it in a bathtub of water? Baby's drowned. Every time. Don't do it to your tattoo either. Do you pick at a baby or cause it to bleed? Nope. No, that's me. Do you wash your hands before you touch a baby? Well, damn it, you should.
Yeah.
I don't know if you do, but damn it, you should, right?
Yeah.
And you should certainly probably wash your hands after you pick up a baby, too.
Yeah.
At any rate, what else? If you ever hear your baby crying, you should take care of it.
If that tattoo cries, I think I'd...
If the tattoo cries, go take care of it.
That is
Everybody seems to
weird.
think, oh, I'll take care of it in a minute. Meanwhile, the baby's crying over there, getting Ferberized like he's in a Fockers movie. It doesn't make him tougher, it just makes a bigger scar. And finally, sometimes you'll find this sitting at home watching your Seinfeld, you get all the punchline, or all the setup and none of the punchline, nothing worse than that. And your baby, it's because your baby's over there crying, being a loudmouth gabbing off about something. It's good to go over there. It's not good, it just feels good. You just shake the fuck out of it. And you set it down. For 20 minutes, oh my God, such peace. David, you remember, right? Silence. And you catch everything, even the commercials you didn't want. Meanwhile, the baby's retarded. Same for a tattoo, okay? Let's imagine that shaking a baby is like scratching a tattoo. You got a fresh tattoo there. You're like, oh, this baby's just fucking, and it feels good for you. See, you should do anything that feels good for your tattoo. That's true. But you should not do what feels good for you necessarily if it doesn't feel good for the tattoo. The baby's going retarded over it. And you just love it. Anything else? I don't think I got. You know what I do? Can I share? We're just going to be over with.
Yeah,
No one else jumping up here kicking me off this thing. Listen, all right. I figured a few things out in life, and one of them was how to get on TV. And let me tell you how to do that, because there's
Take
6
a
of us
baby?
here tonight. Actually, I watched this awesome show. Right? It was about this guy that turned nerds into pussy getters. Can I say that, David? Cover your ears. Pussy getting motherfuckers. It's comedy. You can laugh, right? It's okay. So he just took straight up like dwarf ass nerds that couldn't get a date in all their life. He painted their fingernails black, gave them a set of eye goggles and a fucking hat on, and they were out picking up bitches like that week. And these girls were falling in love with them. And they had several little tactics that they learned. And I'm a married man, so but I wanted to get on TV, so I use those same tactics. Number one, you don't ever talk to somebody like this because you're giving them too much importance. Oh, you don't mean shit to me. Stand over here like that and look at the door, because this is more important. Good Lord, look at the Good Beans Cafe. That's awesome. You didn't know about that, I did. And second off, so when I got a chance to do this, I learned the hard way. I drove to New York City. I'm a tattoo artist and we're traveling tattoo artists. I drove to New York City because we were up in Massachusetts at the time. I left a friend's place and I went to New York and we tried out for Ink Masters. Yeehaw! I seen a couple of my friends there because I'm a traveling tattoo artist. So all these tattoo artists from all the world, I end up meeting half the time. And I see one of my friends there, Stephen Teft, and he gets on that damn show. I was there that day and he showed me his portfolio and I'm like, you got better work than this. It was crap portfolio. I don't care. They wanted him because he was awesome. I got down and I sat down there and they asked me, well, what do you think it takes to make, why is it that you have what it takes to be the next Ink Master? I sat down and I said, duh. Because I do tattoos. That was about it. It took him 20 minutes to tell me, hey, don't call us, we'll call you. And then, my dumb ass jumped in a car. Again, I'm traveling tattoos. I don't know why I did this, but then we put 3,000 miles from New York City to Austin, Texas. And we drove to Austin, Texas. And I put on my best white suit, and I combed my hair back all slick, and I thought I looked good. And I went in there, and an 18-year-old girl, once again, fresh out of high school, in a casting agency, sat down across from me, and she says, what do you think? Why do you think you have what it takes to be the next Ink Master? I said, well, because I do tattoos. And they said, don't call us, because we're going to get a hold of you. They don't got a hold of me. And a year later, my wife said, let's go to Chicago. We're going to try out again. I said, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. It made me feel so stupid. I went out there and she said, just go. We're going to go to Legoland. We're going to buy David some Legos. We got David some Legos, didn't we? This is my son David back here.
No Legos?
Anyways, David got Legos in Chicago, and we went, and I call up Steven. Steven had actually gotten on the show, and he won that fucker. $63,000 before after taxes. God bless him. I call him, I said, how the hell did you do it? And he says, dude, come on. We hang out, go get a buzz on, go in there, flirt with the girls, fucking give them cocaine if you got to, treat them like strippers.
Oh.
I didn't have no cocaine. I did bring alcohol with me, though. And they were surprised by that, but I was drinking it, and they wouldn't have any. I used my tactics. I did.
Yeah,
I turned that chair away from them. I acted like they didn't mean shit to me, and they didn't. I was angry. And I walked in there, and I sat down across from the lady. I said, ha! Because that's what you got to do to get on TV. Say, ha! And so I walked in and said, ha! Made my eyes, and I turned this way. Uh-huh. And she says, so what do you think? I says, listen, lady, what the fuck makes you think you have the right to ask me that shit? Now, she had a right because she was there, and I was there for it. But boy, did she love that. And I was amazed. She was like, every stupid, angry thing I could say. There's a guy that lives inside of all of our heads, right? And he's like, he's there, and most of us, and he takes the message that you want to say, and he says, ooh, shit, no, fuck that, motherfucker, what the hell are you thinking? And then he says it, and that's the way you say it, and that's the way, and that dude, if you want to get on TV, what you do with that dude is you tie him up with duct tape. And you throw him in a closet, and you lock him. So he don't help you. So I got on the show. I'm gonna cry here, okay? You know, they say you are butthurt, okay? Because I didn't win. It's obvious. I'm in front of 6 people right now trying to be a comedian, and I'm not a successful tattoo artist, right? Is that what we're realizing? It's like he's in front of us. He said he's a tattoo artist. Why the fuck is he up there? I know tattoo artists and they get paid money. He was on TV and he's on stage right now. Oh, good, God bless him. This motherfucker sucks. You probably ain't wrong. But I get on the show, and like I say, butthurt. You know, everybody throw that around like it's an insult. I'm not a gay man. The only person though that I think should not be offended by butthurt, like be offended by it, like would be a gay person, like, because if you're used to having butt sex, you probably ain't gonna get butthurt.
True.
If you ain't used to getting fucked, David, shut your ears. If you ain't used to getting fucked in the ass, then you're probably gonna be butthurt. And everybody said, Kyle, you act so butthurt, because I was on this show, and twice, actually. Goddamn America, on behalf of, like, America, some of them love me. Y'all probably don't know who the fuck I am, but some of them love me. They voted me back a second time. God bless them. Woo, that was nice.
Good, yeah.
Jesus Christ. Just to get that same railroad again, man, they just turned it up. They said, oh, you were back here, we're gonna fuck with you so much. At one point, one of the guys explained the reasons. My competitors were coming up, and they actually said to him, I only get this in third person, because the conversations are all had to be jumbled together like a puzzle pieces. So I'm in front of them, and they say, some of you have come to us, and you're asking us why we're harder on you than you have seen on previous seasons. And like, well, that's it wasn't me, because I was here the other season, and I remember y'all was hard then too. I get it. And then some of you have even said, why are you being so hard on Kyle? It's obvious that you're treating him differently than the rest of us. Huh? Well, that seems it. Well, that'll pique my interest. So yeah, because I felt that too. Boy, you guys are being hard on a motherfucker. Why are you being so hard on me? Like, I'm doing a tattoo, and every single time I do, it's all you got to say is something mean. And I remember one time in particular that I began thinking on it on Geometry Day, and not for the way the show is set up. Everybody's got these stupid challenges, like, you know, real world type shit. You have to run through an obstacle course with ice water, do a titty like shake, you know, get the most dollars in your G-string, run through some mud, and then you come out, and whoever gets to win that signs the tattoos. Or something silly like that. It's a tattoo show.
It's
you know,
a
it's
tattoo
reality,
show.
right? You know, reality, like you did when you went to work today, and so you you ran underneath the barbed wire there in the mud, and you got out and you had to eat some nasty slugs, and then you got back in your car after doing a Chinese fireman's drill, and then you drove there dizzy. You know, like reality. So it's reality, and they set up really weird stuff for you, and at one point they tell me, my contestants, the people fighting against me, are actually coming to them and saying, man, you're harder on this kid than the rest of us. And I think the reason they said it is because I don't know if you noticed, but I'm a bit fucking crazy. And when you're stuck in a house with me, it's one thing on the first season, when I'm just a bit crazy. But I already been here for 7 weeks, and a whole new bunch of motherfuckers come in. I already feel like this is my home, and now there's a bunch of other motherfuckers kicked back with their feet on my couch. Start to go a little crazy, and they can sense it. And it's tough to live with somebody when you gotta worry about them, like wiping their ass on your pillowcase and letting you sleep on that shit. And they have to worry about it, because like I say, I'm going crazy. On Geometry Day, I did a perfect circle, and it should have won. I'm gonna attest to that in front of all 6 of you tonight. Should have won. Best tattoo I've ever done in my life. I might as well have hung up and stopped tattooing at that moment, because it was the maybe. Who knows? I'm still doing it. You can catch me over here at Black Eye Social Club. Not to be confused down here with Black Guy Social Club. Completely different club. If you go to Black Eye Social Club, I will tattoo you. Black Guy Social Club, you're going to find out about that other BBC. British Broadcasting Network. People get their head out there. Yeah, I know. That's C isn't network, is it?
No, it's channel.
Thank you. I thought you were going to the other place. You usually pick it up. The punchline was cock. I was waiting, bro. Come on, man. Sorry, lessons. Trying to teach my son right here. So yeah, I do this perfect circle. Should have won. It's Geometry Day. Everybody else shits the bed. everybody shits the bed. So they do this thing. They name 1, 2, and 3. These 3 of you, you did okay. And then we're going to pick one of you that did fair. And you will be the Ink Master, possibly. So that day, they only picked 2. What the fuck? Guess who wasn't one of them? Me. Why the fuck? And then I remember I watched this TED Talks. You guys watch TED Talks?
Yeah.
Awesome show. TED Talks, they take these 2 monkeys. It's actually a whole different experiment. They take these 2 monkeys from the same group, the same tribe, the same family. They know each other. That's John. Hey, what's up, John? This is Harold. Hey, what's up, Harold? And they're in a glass cage next to each other. And they give them a job. And they have the same job every day. So they already know what to do. Oh, hey, look, we get the rock. Well, that's cool, man. I get the rock, take it in the hole. Hey, what's up? Remember to train me to do this shit? And I do it. Put it in the other hole, and I get the treat. Oh, fucking cucumber. Hey, Harold, look it. Cucumber. Today we're getting cucumbers. Starts eating his cucumber. Meanwhile, other monkeys over here in the cage, glass, looks right up. Hey, yeah, cool, cucumber. Get the rock, all right, gonna give me my cucumber. Hey, that's a grape. It's fucking grape. Love grapes. Fucking cucumber, yo. What the fuck? They give him the rock again. The rock and the grape, because I love grapes. Fucking, that's a cucumber. He's angry as shit. This same monkey that was happy as shit with a cucumber a minute ago is now pissed off about it. Threw it at the wall. The other guy, well, what you getting over there, Harold? What you get? Fucking take the rock. You got the grape, you motherfucker. Give me it. Give me it. They give him the rock on the 3rd time. This monkey takes it from the hand. He holds it for a second. Like, hey, it's valuable, right, motherfuckers? I could keep this rock all day. You don't want to keep this rock? I'll keep this rock. I will take this rock and I'll hide it under my bed. I will shit on it. I will pee on it. You won't want it back. But I won't, because you're going to give me a grape. That's a fucking cucumber! Well, I remember that, and I think, is that what they're going for? Well, motherfucker, I'm Cucumber Monkey. The fuck they doing to this kid? This is my 2nd time back. America loves me. They don't love Cucumber Monkey. They love Grape Monkey. Give me my goddamn grape. Well, I thought about that because they were telling me, some of you have come to us and you've asked us why you're being so hard on Kyle. And what we would like to tell you is that we're hard on Kyle because last season what you didn't notice is Kyle progressed. Not because he has any artistic ability at all. No, that kid sucks ass. That guy progressed because of our ability to put our finger in his chest. We put our finger in his chest so fucking well that he was able to make it to a finalist. He was almost a finalist. Remember, Tattoo Baby's got 100,000 Twitter followers and a fucking fat ass. So Kyle wasn't getting on that stage. She was. But aside from that, I asked him, put your finger in my chest to make me perform better. I had to ruminate on that one. After being turned down after that 2nd place, well, even 1 and 2, neither one was me. I'm a great monkey, all right. You put your finger in my chest, make me perform better. Hey, Melissa, she's the one that came up to her and asked about this shit, just because she's the nice one. I know she is. She's the one that collects, she has snakes. This girl's so sweet. She lives in Wisconsin, has snakes, and she has to feed them rabbits. And you should see the ethical question that she has, because she also loves rabbits. If she sees a dog on the street, she must pet it. It doesn't matter if it's foaming at the mouth. This sweet young girl must have asked on my behalf, but I think, well, fuck, if Melissa does better at chocolate cake, you gonna show up to the set tomorrow with chocolate cake? Because you're acting like you're not being biased against me. Now you're being biased for me. Is that worse? No, let's even the competition. Quit putting your finger in my goddamn chest. I'm gonna get butthurt. Oh, they didn't. And I tried to beat that little fucker's ass. I noticed something about my long life. I'm not a big guy, but I'm bigger than other people. And I noticed every time I've ever gotten in a fight with a little guy, the 2 times that I've gotten in a fight with a little guy, they had different outcomes. One time I won. And I didn't win. The girls come over, oh, did the big guy beat you up? You're an asshole! Other time, little guy beat my ass, and they just grab her. Oh, I'm so glad you beat that guy. You're such a champion. That fuck. You can't win a fight against a little guy. Don't even get involved. This guy was, I swear to God, this guy is this big. This Nunez mother. Fuck, I'm still a little butthurt. It gets in my vocal cords. This little fucker. So, and if you look at him too, he's like this. He's a Tyrannosaurus Rex kind of motherfucker. You know? He's got these arms like this. And you start to really get an idea. When I do this, I never understood it. Because I look at him, his hands don't go in his pockets. They're always like that, you know? And I was like, what? Why? Why is he always so goddamn angry? And I remember Tyrannosaurus Rex arms. I mean, that guy's biggest threat in life is getting onto a bus and needing exact change. I got it. Just a second. Hold up. I'm not gonna get off. I gotta get there. Gonna be late. Second, if you can't pleasure yourself, life's gotta suck. And then I realized why he was so rude to me. Why he had to pick on me so much. Because I got normal ass arms. I'm like a normal ass human, like the rest of the normal world. You guys ain't seen these guys. These stars? Holy shit. Maybe you have seen them. But every fucking one of them's this big. Tom Cruise. Swear to God, this big. What you don't know is I got to meet Hugh Jackman. Wolverine, right?
Yeah.
This big. I didn't get to meet him, really. I had already gotten in a fight with the little guy, and I didn't get in a fight with him. He just kind of like, he said, what did he say? He said, well, I'm mad dogging like a motherfucker. Because they came on that night and they're like, Kyle, how's that make you feel? Because he had told me I could have justifiably gone home. I thought, well, how's that just make me feel? Well, he could justifiably pull his nuts out of Scott's fucking mouth. He could strap him back to that vagina that he's got between his legs. And then he could fucking call me down here and send me home. Because he could have justifiably done that. Why don't he just do that shit? Because I ain't sitting here crying to be here. Every other motherfucker cried to be here. I miss my wife. I miss my son. My dog's got a big dent in his head right now. And we're going through a foreclosure. It's cold back home. Y'all don't know. I ain't making no money while I'm on this Ink Master. I wasn't worried about going home. Save me from this bullshit. I just wanted to get a little bit of fame, have people know me so they let me do them tattoos. And that worked. So let me go home. So Hugh Jackman... Oh, not Hugh Jackman, I'm sorry. So they asked the kid to say, hey, he told you could have justifiably gone home and you weren't even down there. How's that make you feel? And so I described something so gross that I hesitate. What? David, cover your ears again. You've heard of skull fucking.
Alright.
I didn't know that my mind would go there, but I described plucking this little fucker's eyeballs out. They come to me and they say, the day after it happened, see, I tried to beat the little fucker's ass. Well, it came close to it, but he's like, you can't fight small guys. But I was going to pluck his eyeball out, and I felt that I would feel that warm socket. And after 7 weeks of not knowing my wife's comfort, I was going to think, maybe give me a chubby. I'm not sure. And maybe that open socket, I bet I would. And I know I would, and I would, and I would. And I would think I would be getting into it so bad. This is me on the television. I swear to God. You don't see this. They don't edit that out because the kid's crazy at the time. Heads up, I was just crazy. Forgive a motherfucker, because I was just crazy. And so I just imagined even getting the eyeball from the suction going in and out, playing with it like a little nipple or something, you know?
Boy.
Now, here's the thing. I only tell you that to illustrate how crazy it is on this reality world. Because they just got described by a contestant who is obviously angry. That he desires to literally skull fuck the judge. And they okay, so we'll see you tomorrow, 10 o'clock shooting time. You gotta be up at 6. So I'm gonna be, hey, I just talked to you about skull fucking that motherfucker. We're gonna be in the same room? Yeah! Where how that's gonna go? They asked me, they did come to me. They say, hey Kyle, do you need anything? I said, yeah, I need to go jogging. I need to clear my mind, man. I'm in a bad spot. And it's always been for me that I need to get it, and you've got me locked up in this house. You don't get to get out. You don't get to choose your food. You don't get to choose your clothes. You don't get to choose what you're eating, when you eat, where you stand, when you want to stand. You're locked down like you're institutionalized. And I say, man, let me go and jog. No, we can't do it, man. We can't get anybody. No, well, you got a PA. They can go with me. They can drive a car next to me. I seen it on Sylvester Stallone. I mean, what, you ain't seen Rocky before, man? Not everybody's got a jog. You just stay close with me. We couldn't do it, insurance, blah, blah, blah. All right. You take me to the gym. Every once in a while, you guys let us go to the gym. Take me to the gym. I'm gonna go to the gym and get a workout in. That'll feel good. Oh, that'll feel good. Nah, man, it's fucking so late. Yeah, but, you gotta, why are you asking me then? Well, we thought maybe we just ask you and you'd be like, no, I'm cool.
That's open.
Yeah? No. So the next morning we show up and we're on set and it's a little bit cold. I got gloves on and I'm just silent. I don't know where I'm at. Now I gotta tell you, I've been here for 14 weeks now. Through this whole little ordeal of this TV show where they keep on poking and prodding, and everything I do that's good just gets turned over as it's the worst thing ever because they got to put their finger in my chest because it makes a really interesting story for people back home, and it really makes my life hell, and I'm going crazy. I miss my wife, I miss my kids, I miss this fucking place here, Flint. I miss Flint. Can you believe it? And then I'm just silent, and then he comes in, and he's in the room. And I can't help it. I was mad dog. Just mad dog. Hateful. Mad dog. I didn't take my eyes off of him, and I don't know how I didn't, but for about 15 minutes straight, I swear to God, I did not blink. And my eyes probably zeroed in about that big lasers, and I was just boring a hole right through the center of his skull. Not one eye, not the left eye, right in the center. Wanted to make sure he got full intensity of all the glare, and Kyle looks mad. Every once in a while I put death in my eyes. I think it's a good thing to have there sometimes. If you've seen enough death, just put it in your eyes and at least it scares people away. I'm not a very good fighter. That's why I need death in my eyes occasionally, so I put it in there. I stared right through, and then I was really mad. I wasn't looking at nobody else. And then it had to happen. He says, okay, before the cameras start rolling. So of course the cameras are like, oh fuck, let's start rolling. Before the cameras start rolling, Carl, why are you mad dogging me, bro? So what? Why am I mad dogging you? What? You say that shit last night and you don't know? Well, fuck, that'll make me just as angry. Bro, what? I said what? I said, you know what? Fuck it. You're a bitch. Because where I come from, that's like, you're a bitch. Now what you gonna do? I felt like I'd call him that and he'd have to respond with I'm a bitch, which of course means that I gotta do some shit. And guess what? I was right. And he said it. You're a bitch. We can go back and forth with this all day. But that was the end of it for me, because I already knew I was gonna beat his ass.
No.
Yeah, I ain't thinking right.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, he said I was a bitch. I'm gonna beat his ass. Now it's just a matter of how to get over it. And I thought, well, maybe if I could get him angry, and he'd come over here. So I said, well, fuck you, I will tattoo circles around you. Now remember, I tattooed a circle. And so I thought that was interesting. I'll bring it back to circles. I'll tattoo circles around you. He says, oh, you're awful. Which is ironic, because it doesn't change my claim. If I tattoo circles around you and I'm awful, then you just are worse. But whatever. He says you're awful. I said, all right, well, there's 6 seasons of Miami Ink that prove just what a shitty tattoo artist you are. He got so mad. Boy, I never thought that was gonna happen. I was so angered prior to that, and when I saw his I just pulled his little bitch card there and made him hurt his little hoe spot where he's like, oh yeah, I really was a bad artist on that show, and it really hurts me. And I could see that I touched him deep in his little child. And inside of his little child, I got so angry. It's like, what? Come at me, bro! But again, he's 2 foot tall with Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, so I guess I should be like, come at me, bro! At any rate, I came at him. And I didn't punch him because he was this big.
What'd you do?
And now,
Step on
I
him?
got butthurt.
You
The end of the story is back to the beginning. Butthurt. I got butthurt because in the end of it, you don't get $63,000 for pushing a judge, as it is, and they don't let you be back on. And when Hugh Jackman shows up, you don't get to meet him either. They shot the scene as though I was there. Yeah. Like they act like I'm in the room because Hugh Jackman was supposed to have been there 2 weeks prior, but the circuit set doing the X-Men press promo ticket didn't allow it. So they saved our clothes from the day we did the X-Men challenge. And 2 weeks later, we came back. Well, by that time, I already blown up on this little fucker, and I'm in a Howard Johnson down the road waiting to be flown back home. They flew in a couple kids from Hawaii, from Chicago, and Arizona. All because those people had gotten sent home. And me, I was supposed to, but I wasn't, because I guess this is the fun part for me. The only fun part, right, is that as it turns out, the only thing that I have to say from Ink Masters I can hang my hat on as any kind of pride is that Wolverine is scared to be in a room alone with me. Adamantium skeleton bullshit. I don't give a fuck. Regenerative properties. Fucking, you met a kid from Flint. We drink water and spit it out. Excuse me, I say water. That was the whole. Oh, fuck up. Can we cut that? Go.
Yeah,
Wind that
okay,
back.
okay.
We drink lead and spit it out.
Yeah, there we go.
Alright. Like, yeah, damn straight. Yeah, that's how I know I'm done. It ain't like a lesbian porno. We know when this thing's over with. We hear some claps. Thank you, kids.
Thank you, Kyle, man.
Hey, thanks for letting me do that.
Coffee's too good.
Did I take it up there too? Oh, I'm back. Excuse me.
Well, with that, thank you, Kyle.
Oh, that was a blast.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for coming up here and enjoying my little hospitality and my jokes and whatever that I can think of. So I want to say good night, Merry Christmas, Arrivederci, ciao, Joyjin, and we will see you in January.
Yeah.
Good night.